Grazie, tra l'altro appunto hai già in qualche modo centrato il tema, se ne è parlato ieri, se ne è parlato già questa mattina, il territorio sarà fondamentale.
The territory is going to play an essential role in this revolution we need to make in order to stop climate change. So it's going to be central to integrate renewables, but also to redesign entirely the energy system. And what is essential also is that also agriculture must change if we want to stop climate change and make the Italian agricultural fabric stronger, tying quality to protection of the environment. So why is the theme of energetic community interesting? Well, because it can help us think about a situation in which, as in the case of a circular economy, you change the manufacturing system. And also in the field of energy, we're getting close to a model in which production and consumption are conceived so as to enhance local networks, establishing direct relations, and put more value on this type of production. Fortunately, we are in Europe, and I hope we stay in it and we strengthen its role and the role of Italy in Europe. And after so many battles, what this directive says is it talks about energy communities. Why is this essential for our country? Well, because in other European countries, you can produce and distribute energy from renewable sources to the territory. So you can have a biogas plant that directly dispatches energy without becoming a distributor. Otherwise, just some entities can do that in Italy. No, it's not forbidden all over Italy, because at the beginning of the 19th century, the 20th century, there were energy cooperatives that were established on the Alps. But anyway, at the end of the 1990s, they started getting organized, and they also produced renewable energy plants, and they can distribute energy to their members. So these allow you to make big savings in terms of your energy and heat consumption. These are cooperatives, and these plants belong to the community. You know how they work, and they give you this direct advantage. This theme is very interesting because our country must transpose this directive. We're not there yet. We need to understand how to transpose it in the best manner, which also talks about the rights of prosumers, producers, consumers. So we must be able to produce and use our energy. So in light of the current legislation, and energy communities also only exist when citizens and companies get together with municipalities, so it has a very strong social nature. But within this idea of networks in which you exchange energy, there's a lot of innovation that is possible, in which is also being debated at the European level. And also in Italy, the Senate is considering these topics. So more companies can get together to produce and consume instantly. So you have to give an advantage to those who produce and consume instantly energy, because as an environmentalist, I can say that networks are important. We must make sure that the network we have works well and it gets everywhere. So this is the theme that is going to be debated over the next few months. At the moment, there is some self-consumption in this country. There are many interesting prospects, but still we have to write a new regulation. Why is this important, as well as a challenge also for biomasses and biogas? Because energy communities represent an opportunity to finally have a strong integration of these plants within the local area and to find consensus. So as Legambiente, we have been drafting reports on the dissemination of these plants and the spread of these plants all over Italy. Why are they opposed by NIMBY approaches? Well, first of all, because there are thousands, and there are also many that have been badly made. So what is the accusation? Nobody knows where the money comes from. We don't know what you put in this plant and where it comes from, and the advantages go to people who's not me. But these aspects should be addressed and overcome with energy communities because, for instance, I can know where the material comes from, and also the local people receive an advantage because you can distribute energy to those who live around the plant if this model is well made. That is why it is such a big challenge in order to obtain consensus concerning biogas. But this is also the case with photovoltaic, biomass, and all the renewable energy sources. This is a huge challenge. Can I ask you something concerning this? Now, I don't know if you were getting to it anyway, but one of the big issues concerning energy communities is that they should be physical or virtual. Well, physical, it means that you actually get connected and get energy. Virtual, well, it becomes a number of trade-offs. It's something quite different. It's not a detail. So I don't know if there's an opinion concerning this, and it seems to me to be important also in terms of an energy community based on gas. Well, this is a big topic that we need to discuss, and we must also find a common sense solution. You have to be clear in this connection too, because what's the risk and why the Energy Authority was always very skeptical on these topics. Because at the end, everybody disappeared and nobody wants to pay fees. But you can regulate these things. Of course, there's a difference between a physical community in a specific geographical area and a virtual one. For instance, there could be two different things, and even the chargers, system chargers, which represent an essential element in our energy bill and also ensures investments and the safety of the network. Of course, you have to pay them differently. If there's a physical network, a proximity network is something. Yes, it's also different the way in which you interact with the grid, that you can stabilize or destabilize. Yes, even direct contracts, which Google makes in the US, and we will get them in Italy too. They are part of this reasoning, but you need to pay your charges, and it's rightful they should pay them. Of course, you should not pay the same on renewable energy sources and fossil fuels, but this is another story. Another challenge of energy communities is strengthen a model in which renewables and the circular economy get together, so they travel along the same pathway. And in this new idea of a connection with the territory, also the grids change and the way they are used. And the distribution grids change, particularly those closer to certain areas, because they must be renewed in order to manage these flows, which are instantaneous. They've got different features compared with the past, and this is the big change we were referring to. So we need to understand in which direction we want to move. And this is what we do as Legambiente, because we try to protect this model. We propose these 100 stories from the territory of well-made plans. The interesting thing is that I decided to put a picture on these two plants because they are an example of the way in which all these things can work together. I know very well this farm. They produce excellent pasta. The farm is called Arte. They have a circular economy there. This is the example we should disseminate. There are many others, but this is the model we should promote, in which what you have at the same time is Italian food quality, renewable energy sources that are self-produced because the biogas plant uses local resources, produces a circular economy and innovation. This is how you obtain consensus with reference to a plan. This is the model we must promote, and that is why we have to get soon to regulations for energy communities in order to promote this type of approach to the territory. Now, I think we skipped a slide, but it doesn't matter. So third challenge, well, the last, and it was already illustrated by Zorzori. Biomethane and biogas plants up until today had these features. They were seen as the entities to the left and to the right of the slide shown by Mr. Zorzoli. So whether here or there, but they were not at the heart of this system, and they were not even within the integrated vision of the future of our country, well, integrated in terms of energy sources. But we need to make people understand that this model is part of the future for this country in order to go to a different energy transition. So the figures in the current energy and climate plan are a joke. You have to make the legislators understand that you are the core of this plan. And those images, those pictures showed us something very important at the core of international research. Why are you interesting? And Italy is interesting for international research. Well, because we have an electricity grid and gas grid which is everywhere except for Sardinia, because Sardinia should go totally towards electricity. But you are at a crossroad with your model. So there is electric grid and gas grid and energy production. So if you put heat, electricity and gas together, you get a system that is very interesting, because in a world in which the ability of being flexible in order to answer needs immediately, you can really come to play an important part in this innovation. It's not that you are farmers at the countryside and that you just want incentives, but you are those who can give answers to system needs. So this is the picture I wanted to show you. And I will go very fast, saying that this chart to the right is similar to what Sandra showed you with reference to Germany. In Germany, too, biogas installations have been reduced in the past few years, but in Italy everything was reduced, solar, wind, and also biogas. So look what we should be installing every year to the right, and look at what the situation is. So we need to go fast, and we need to overcome barriers, and we need to be more ambitious. This is a scenario we portrayed with reference to the national energy strategy. If we want to decarbonize before 2050, as the Paris Agreement sets out, the goals we have set are not sufficient. We must not, pull each other's legs. We have to accelerate. We can do that. There are opportunities. We have to reconsider the various sectors, as Mr. Zottoli was saying. We need to understand where biomethane and biogas can be used best. We need to review some sectors, reconsider them, particularly building and transportation sectors, and the role of agriculture in this revolution. I would like to conclude by saying that you need to look at your own situations, understanding what has been done already, because there are so many positive examples already that we can talk about of companies, farms that are already here, and in the sense that have already achieved this level of innovation. So if you talk about them and we go to the government together to tell them, well, this model works and it is the answer to this country's problems, I think that we can be very effective and also find the support of citizens. Something that I skipped because I didn't get the slide was the reason why these things are already moving forward. For experts, decision 300 of the Energy Authority promoting and awarding this type of model is already there. So if you want to give energy to the grid when the grid needs it, you receive financial advantages, and soon we will have the new decisions on capacity marketing. So this is going to be changed in order to give benefits to renewables. So you are within this model. You must be aware of it, because this is what you have to go for. You must not go to the government just asking for incentives and then trying to solve the problem of territories with plans because they know a politician. No, you must focus on transparency. You have to focus on the circular economy and on the renewable energy sources for this country. So what I'm saying is, let us fight together so that this directive is transposed as fast as possible on energy communities. We need to do that, and it is in the interest of all of us, the biogas, biomethane producers, Legambiente, and those, for instance, who live in a condominium in the country. We have to go about it together. We cannot waste any more time. Of course, if you're interested, these things can be found in a report by Legambiente. Thank you.